Electrocast. Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome into Missing the Point. It's Check My Oil. We're back after a week off because nothing happened in the world of the UFC at the very least, which is, if we're being, pulling back the curtain a little bit, guys, the thing we're going to talk about because it's the most popular promotion and we want people to tune in. So you're probably not going to get a ton of fucking PFL coverage here on CMO, but as far as my BFFs go, I have Ben, the Streak, as we decided was his most common nickname, Peak. Coming in hot, Huggy Bear, the man, the myth, the legend, to tell us all about the more technical side of mixed martial arts, what it's like to actually get punched in the face. And I, of course, with the usual crew, we have Mr. Matt Wilcox, who's here to talk about fighting, who's here to say something like Justin Gaethje sucks at wrestling, that fucking lights the internet aflame. Even though that guy does not wrestle in MMA, so I don't really know why everyone was so mad.
Yeah, I prefer resident casual.
Resident casual Matt Wilcox here. It's apparently it's bad in MMA to be a casual, but good in like the Gap when you're in the Gap or J. Crew. Nice casual look. Regardless, not a ton has happened since we last convened to talk about the aftermath of some pay-per-views, some other sort of work out the balance and humors of the world of the UFC have sort of occurred since then. Holly Holme won a fight and went on a very strange rant about sexualizing children. Don't sexualize kids. What do you mean by that specifically, Holly? Can you point to an example? Just don't. Okay. Well, I guess everybody can get behind that. It's just kind of weird that you brought it up. Moving on to this card, though, I think it's another banger, guys. Like, I think the last pay-per-view, like I've been sort of alluding to, I think that the UFC as an organization, we're not going to sit here and talk about their merger with the WWE because I honestly have not made heads nor tails of it. I do find it funny that Vince McMahon is sort of the vaudevillian, over-the-top villain of Dana White already. Like, he was sort of the pre-Dana White and has done some despicable shit in his life, much like our friend Dana, Lex Luthor looking motherfucker that he is. We're here to talk about the next pay-per-view, which I think it almost needs no introduction. It's the rematch. It's the rematch of Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. If we're all being very, I looked up all the pronunciations of all the names today on the card, so I'm not going to waste any of them. But here's the thing. Izzy kind of made we're going to start from the bottom of the prelims, but I just want to mention something to everybody right off the top. Izzy kind of made another weird gaffe in his pre-fight press conference this week where he said, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he said, this is my Eminem moment. Because, that 8 Mile, you only get one shot and I'm down 0-3. And I'm like, well, I mean, you contradicted yourself a smidgen right there. But, I know I'm certified and I worked all those years to get my body language doctorate. But I do try not to apply it too much because it's almost cheating. It's almost unfair, guys. But I haven't loved Izzy's body language this week. And that is going to be a theme of us talking about that, not to bury the lead here. But we have a ton of fights to get through before we get there. But yeah, that is the main event. It's a great main event. I think both guys have a good chance to win. So I'm excited to talk about it. But let's scale ourselves all the way back to the very bottom of the barrel. You get to a top of a mountain, you become a Bellator champ or a PFL champ, just like in regular life, you end up at the bottom of another mountain. So here at the bottom of the prelims, our very first fight is going to be Jacqueline Amorim versus Sam Hughes. I'll be honest, again, to draw the curtain back, when you're doing research on fighters like the Amorims and the Hugheses of the world, there isn't a ton to get into. So we are going to sort of blow through the prelims here kind of quickly. I like Amarim. I don't think the Vegas odds makers are getting anything wrong here. She's a minus 245 favorite. I think she's going to come out and take this chick down. And I think she's going to win with her top game, because Sam Hughes, from everything I've learned about her, watching her other fights, reading reports on scouts on what they have to say about her, she's got no takedown defense whatsoever. So am I off base here, Matt? I'll start with my usual question. Is there any value in the underdog bet of plus 195 with Sam Hughes today?
No, not with Amarim on the other end. She's going to submit her quick. She's a 2-time champion in the LFA. Both came by submission. This is an easy start, and it's a good way to start your card. I don't know if I'd throw it on a parlay.
I don't love betting method of victory, because I just fucked myself trying to bet method of victory last week. Like, I really got killed trying to be like, he's going to knock him out in the first round. It's like, there's a reason why you get really good odds on that, guys. Yeah. I'm not going to recommend those to you, because I just think it becomes a little bit of a mess when you're trying to predict how a fight's going to end, especially an MMA fight where there's 50 different fucking ways it could happen. So I do agree with you that she probably submitted her in the first round, but I mean, damn, man, like, don't go down that rabbit hole. Don't go down the fallacy of throwing good money after bad money, because I was betting first round submissions and third round decisions and all this different shit last week, and I got murdered. I don't
know about you. I always end up doing that when I've lost the easy bets earlier in the night. I'm trying to make it back.
You're
baby.
Chasing those odds, baby.
I'm sitting there with my mortgage. I've got my card title, and I'm putting it all on black. Let's go.
You ever see Hardball? Did you ever see that movie with Keanu Reeves? The worst part about that movie is I buy Keanu Reeves as a little league coach, trying to get like these, just underfunded areas kids to like believe in something and not resort to gang violence or whatever the theme of that movie was. It's the start where he's a degenerate gambler. I just don't buy it. It doesn't come right through to me at the very beginning, because he's like, what are the odds on the Knicks? Like, they're going to beat the spread. They're going to beat the spread. I'm like, I just don't believe it. He's not neurotic enough to be throwing that kind of money after already bad money. So Ben, what do you got in this one? I feel like you're not going to try to talk me into Sam Hughes, are you? I feel like this is a little bit of a nice glazed donut to start the meals. You gotta have something sweet before you even get into anything. Have dessert first. It's going to be an easy one, and we'll just get it right out of the way. We all know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on this. Sam Hughes is pretty underwhelming as a performer in the UFC.
7-5.
Yeah, nearly betting 500. And Jacqueline coming in as a relative unknown, but coming out of a great team, American top team, very accomplished. A lot of great coaches over there, a lot of great fighters. Coming in 6-0 with a pretty clear advantage on the ground. I expect. So, always keep in mind there's the potential for jitters, UFC jitters coming into a fight. You're finally under the big lights.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, and Sam's has been there before. That being said, she's been there before and she hasn't performed. I expect her to lose this one.
All right. Well, unfortunately, there isn't a ton of drama here. I think I can safely say that Sam Hughes is going to get submitted in the first round. I think that this is probably just a little bit of like, let's see if this girl can get a little bit better and a little bit better after that type deal for the matchmakers. So we'll see. I might also miss this fight. A lot of times I can't get my shit together to watch the early prelims this early. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll circle back around. Might be fight of the night after that round dismissal of these two hardworking athletes that we just decided to do. I know I said I looked up all the pronunciations, but it's really tough. This sheet.
Say it.
Oh my God. Daylon Nurden BK versus Steve Garcia. Now, I may have butchered that, and I'm very sorry, especially since he's probably going to win. I think he's probably going to win by decision, because I don't see either of these guys having like a ton of finishing power in this particular stylistic matchup. I think without kind of spoiling any sort of theme for the coming of the remainder of the card, there is a pick'em nature to a lot of bigger odds disparities on this card, and I feel like Nurden BK being a minus 210 against Steve Garcia is a little lopsided. Am I crazy there, Maddie? I feel like this is a closer fight than that. There is actually, for the first time, I know it's only the second fight we're talking about, for the first time, some value in a plus 167 bet. I like when I see odds like that too, by the way, because it means someone has been betting heavily a line that they said of like, say it was probably plus 175, and you start to see it squeak down because of just the algorithm of the action going onto it. So it's like, maybe people know something I don't. So I like when I see odds like that, but I still, I think the smart money is probably on the favorite like it always is, but I think there might be some value here. What do you think?
No, I think there's definitely value in the underdog. And, for these guys, Garcia, if you just look at his last couple of fights, they've all been knockouts, whether he's knocking somebody out or somebody else.
Chase Hooper. Merck's Chase Hooper, which is something.
Exactly. So the only thing that I'd say in fights like this is I'm super nervous about the judges. UFC hasn't been to Miami in 20 years. So just with how San Antonio went, I'm just expecting chaos. So any fight that I think is going to go the distance, I'm going to be super nervous about and cautious of. But having said that, I definitely am going with Garcia on this one.
You're going with Garcia by decision.
Going with Garcia by decision.
Okay. I think that's a decent bet, to be honest with you. It's kind of hard not to want to take the money line on this one, just because of just the built-in value on the fact that neither of these guys are guarantees, right? I mean, I do think, yeah, you're right. There is some finishing power on offer on both sides, but I guess I'm not saying that featherweights can't consistently knock people out. It's just that, like, when I see 145, I'm so much more hesitant to bet knockouts, like, unless I really know that the guy is like the finished article and I've seen him do it like regularly, set up knockout punches and like put them away, because it's tough to just like touch guys at 145 and put them down. It doesn't happen a shitload. It does happen. I'm not saying they're 125ers, where they can just beat the shit out of each other for 3 rounds and like everyone's probably going to be conscious by the end of it. Hey, I'm not saying 145 knockouts don't happen. They do. Of course, there's very famous ones, but it's the first division where it's really going to start to happen. So it's not like heavyweight where you're like, this isn't going to fucking decision unless both guys get real tired, right?
Right.
When you have a lower competition level at heavyweight, you're like, someone's going to still knock somebody out, is kind of my point.
Right. Plus, I think you just hit the nail on the head with getting gassed. Garcia is the only person here between these two that's been on a main card. I think it was the Teixeira UFC that he was in. So this is going to be a very chaotic start. These guys are going to go out there high.
Garcia's going to throw some haymakers.
Exactly. I think they're going to gas each other and go the distance. That's just how I see this one going.
Ben, am I crazy to say that it's 145-pound knockouts are not something that I want to bet on maybe consistently? Or do you think like you can knock somebody out if you're fighting at 145? Is that a thing?
Yeah. I mean, look at Conor.
Sure. I'm not saying they haven't happened. I'm just saying, like, when you have a lower level of competition, I feel like they become much less likely. When you have a lower level of competition at heavyweight, I feel like they become almost more likely, if that makes sense. Because it's like Steve Garcia coming out here and throwing haymakers. It's like, I don't know, you might be able to take 1 or 2, and power through it. But it's like if you get hit by a haymaker by any of the top 10 heavyweights, even if you're that size too, it's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. It's just lately I'm like 145. I mean, look, you get knocked out at 135, you get knocked out at 125. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying, I don't know, that with guys at this level, if they can kind of cancel each other out, I just don't see a knockout happening. I would bet a decision is what I'm saying. All right. So
I'm with,
I'm going to take Nerd and BK by decision. Matt'll take Garcia by decision. I feel like if Garcia is going to win, he's going to win by knockout, to be honest with you. But I guess that kind of contradicts everything I just said.
All right, I'll take him outright.
Yeah, again, the fucking method of victory bets. It's just like, yeesh. Okay. Ignacio Bahamondes versus Trey Ogden. Not a ton of value here for me in an underdog bet. I feel like Ogden doesn't have a ton to offer here. He came through the looking for a fight route, not the Contender Series, not the Ultimate Fighter, not another promotion, the looking for a fight route. And in his debut, he dropped a split decision to Jordan Levitt. He did upset Daniel Zoluber, and he was supposed to lose that fight, I'm told. But it's 2 weeks notice. He might be able to, maybe he like, I don't think there's a ton of value in an underdog bet here. What are you making of this?
Nope. I'm with you. I think Bahamondes is he's hot. He's young. He's been fighting really, really well. I think he's going to dominate him. I agree with you. I think Ogden's just one of those human punching bags. He just agrees he's going to get in there and he's going to take some shots for the team.
Yeah. Like I would think like a knockout around the second round.
We're going to bet every one of these by finish. Huh? We're going to every single one of them.
I don't like betting the method of victory. And now this. I would bet him. I would bet him to get knocked out in the second round, though, because like you said, he's going to accumulate damage, and I think he's going to accumulate damage very quickly. I'm not saying Ignacio is like the second coming at 155 here, but I do think that he, like you said, he is younger. He does have the potential. He has a potentially huge upside. He is getting better, and he can finish. Like he front kicked fucking Edson Gomez and finished him, and I think that's dope as fuck. So
yeah,
I'm not. I'm not. I would hate to bet Ogden in any way, shape, or form here because you're betting on him to survive, right? Like if you're in any sort of situation where your money is on Ogden, you're basically saying, I hope he doesn't get finished within 3 rounds, which a lot of times it will influence my gambling to be like, I don't want to sit through that. I don't want to sit through 15 minutes of praying that this guy wants to isn't going to get murked. You know what I mean? Then like
it's the
he
worst.
Might. So, I'm probably going to go. I'm with you. If there isn't, the problem is there's not a ton of value at minus 350 for Ignacio here. So you're going to have to bet method of victory. Don't bet victory and round. Don't be like me. Don't make that stupid mistake. And I'm probably going to bet him second round knockout. Anyway,
you know what? I think I'm going to bet him within 2.5. 2 rounds and a half.
But are you not a little smarter than to go? I mean, tell me your strategy on this, because are you not just a little smarter than to just cover your bets and say fight won't make it past 2.5 rounds? Because then if some freak occurrence happens and your guy gets fucking clipped, then you're covered, right?
Yeah,
like
you're probably right.
I do like to extend when I do stuff like that. I do like to extend out the sort of parameters in which I might actually win in order to. But you still don't lose a ton of odds on that.
Right.
Like you're not going to get
numbers.
Right. Exactly. What do you think about this one, Ben?
I'm with you guys on this one. I think Ignacio is probably going to take it. Seems like the more complete fighter, has the reach advantage, coming in off some wins. Trey Ogden has the nickname the Ghost Samurai or Samurai Ghost, some shit like that. I could do with less of that. So I'm hoping...
You think that's cool? That's cool as fuck.
No. But you really gotta kind of when you have a name like that, Ghost Samurai or whatever it was, you got to really come in there and just ice guys. You can't be
middling,
get barely beating somebody. That's not for me. Plus, he's bald with a beard. How many more of these fucking guys do we need? So I think I take this.
You know what? I didn't realize he was bald with a beard. I didn't need to do any fucking more real research than that. That'll do it for me. All right, cool.
That's all you need.
I'm gonna kind of glaze over this Cynthia Calvillo Lupita Godinez fight.
Are you?
Calvillo,
I got.
What? Go ahead. You're gonna bet Calvillo on this one, dude. She's all over the fight.
Yeah.
Come on. Really?
Yeah.
You're betting on her like 5 years ago.
Bounce back season, baby.
All right. I mean, it's big odds. Godinez is 8-3. She started off 5-0. Her 3 fights that she's lost are UFC fights, so at least they're to UFC level competition. Yep. She is a little shorter, so there's that. And I don't think that what my point that I was going to make about this one was that I don't think there's a lot of smart money on Godinez anyway. Like even though she's the favorite, I don't think Calvillo is going to win. But Godinez is the kind of fighter that like she has the worst game plan ever. Every time she comes into a fight, it's like, oh look, she's probably a better wrestler than Angela Hill, so let's box Angela Hill. Oh, she's probably a better boxer than Jessica Penn or Luana Carolina, but like let's fucking wrestle them. And those are when you get those losses. So she's not super smart to put. Yeah, it's not smart to put money on her at all. But I also don't think Cynthia Calvillo is smart money either. This is a stay away from me all day. But I mean, talk me into Calvillo winning. I'm open to
bet Calvillo heavy. I think you hit the nail on the head. Godinez is kind of an idiot. I think she's going to get in there and get wrestled for 3 rounds and just get held on the ground and go back to her corner every time going, I'm not sure what's happening here. She won't stand up and fight me. I think Calvillo's going to drag her down and take an easy win here.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
I just think Cavilla's looked really bad lately, and I just think like this whole fight screams stay away, stay away.
Tomato cans either. She lost some big fights.
I guess. All right, I'll take it. I'm not betting on this fight though. This is a huge fucking stay away. Chase Sherman and Carl Williams. God, Chase Sherman sucks. He's so bad. He's so bad. I don't get it. Yeah. I don't understand how he's still hanging on for dear life. Because I guess it's because of the 250 pounds that he weighs. You can put him in against guys on a regular basis to like do X, Y, or Z. But this is a hugely obvious result that's coming down the pipe here. He can't stuff takedowns. Carl Williams is really good at taking people down. He's really athletic. His entire game plan is taking guys down and doing some shit. Chase Sherman's won one fight since 2017. He's lost 5 of 6. When he wins, he knocks guys out. I can't see him knocking out Carl Williams. I don't see that materializing. So, this to me is the exact perfect anchor to a parlay bet. You put this one in to be like, Carl Williams is definitely going to win this fight. So if you need some other odds help across some other bets, I would pop this one on a parlay. Chris Barnett was supposed to fight in this fight, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, the short notice on for Carl Williams might play a part." It won't. He's way better than Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman sucks. Don't ever bet on Chase Sherman, even if he wins this weekend. Still don't, because something crazy has happened. Like a bolt of lightning struck Carl Williams or something. I'm never going to bet on Chase Sherman ever. He's on my actual, you've lost money on this motherfucker, stop doing it, shit list. So no, I trust my past self, at least to learn from my mistakes. Can you find any value here other than putting on a parlay, Matt, or what do you think?
No, not at all. Williams is going to starch him.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put another victory on it either. If I was gun to my head, I would probably say decision, but
no, I'm not going to pick it like that. I'm taking Williams outright. I think he's going to look good doing it too.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Ben, any Chase Sherman opinions to clash against my he sucks?
No, dude, put me in there against Chase Sherman this weekend, and I'll be that guy. They're terrible to watch. The Vanilla Gorilla is going to take an L here.
I'm talking about bad nicknames. You're giving the poor fucking Ghost Ship Samurai a fucking some shit. Fucking the Vanilla Gorilla. I mean, I understand that it rhymes, but the insinuation being that gorillas are not normally vanilla is a little problematic to start with. And he's just not. He's not the Vanilla Gorilla. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I think we should start calling him Ask How, Ask Now, Ask Chase Sherman Williams, because he's going to be working at the fucking paint store after he gets fucking demolished.
I like that one. That was pretty good.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I do work in advertising. I try to slide it in there when I can to support the business. All right, we're moving on to Jared Mearshart and Joe Pyfer, not Pfeiffer. Pyfer. I love Jared Mearshart in this fight. To be honest, those odds are screaming at me. It's exactly what he does. He takes guys that are on the rise at this level, and he gets an opportunistic win over them. I don't think he's the greatest fighter in the world, but he's one of those guys that if you give him a way to beat you, if you give him even a little bit of a way to beat you, he will. I think he's got great jiu-jitsu. I think he's super, super experienced. So whatever Pyfer comes in with, which we'll go on to in a minute, I think I know what he's going to bring to the table. I think he'll be able to weather. I think that Pyfer's heavily favored in the first round. I think his boxing is clean. I think it's super technical. I think he'll be able to, he's a guy that puts multiple punches together, which is honestly frustratingly non-existent in a lot of boxers, quote unquote, in the UFC. Guys that are boxers, they really just mean are hard punchers. You don't see them put 2 3s together, 3 4s. You don't see them mix in kicks. You don't see them do what you're supposed to do to be a good technical boxer, set traps. I think this is all stuff Joe Pyfer does. I do think that he has really crisp boxing. However, I think he's a little bit of a one-trick pony. I think that if Mearshart can sort of weather that storm, like I said, and just make it an MMA fight, which I think his experience and his camp, I also really like his camp and the guys that he trains with down there that could really emulate a Joe Pyfer, can think about that and put a really good game plan together to actually make that happen. He's got the knockout hype coming in, based on who he's knocked out. He's never fought a guy at this level, with this many fights under his belt. To me, it's like, the old Mike Tyson stories of like going to amateur boxing rings and it's like a gross, like back of a bar with like a thing and you're like a ring in the middle of it. And the promoters are lying about the fact that their guys have like 300 fights, like 300 amateur fights where they've just like pasted 300 guys. But they have it is that amount of reps and at bats that make them able to finally take the jump up to professional. Mershot, as much as like, yeah, I mean, it's not great reading to look at his 35-15 record. Losing 15 fights isn't wonderful, but like, we'll come on to talk about records when we talk about fucking the co-main event, Jorge Masvidal. Mershot is a journeyman. He is a guy that is going to gatekeep at this level, but I think he can do it successfully against Pyfer. If the odds meant nothing and you asked me who I thought was going to win the fight, I'd probably say Pyfer. But such a tempting little like plus 175 bet on Mershot. What do you think? Value,
absolute value. I think you're right. Mershot has found this little niche as like a gatekeeper for people trying to make the next step up in talent, and he just has been very successful in doing it. And I just think Pyfer is going to run into a whole host of experience issues and just this amazing wrestling game and jiu-jitsu game. I'm going Mershot all the way.
Yeah, you got any opinions on these guys, Ben? I mean, I feel like Pyfer might be your kind of fighter, but Mershot, there's some value in betting on this underdog, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to take it. Mershot is a tough gamer, been around for a long time.
Hard to bet against those guys.
What do you say?
Hard to bet against those guys.
Yeah, real well-rounded Roufusport guy. Roufusport is known for putting out very well-rounded fighters. They're good off their back. They're talented on the feet. I think Joe obviously has the advantage on the feet here. And coming in southpaw versus orthodox, there's the obvious straight right down the pipe, and he throws more than one punch, which is important when you're going to be fighting somebody of the opposite stance. You've got to put them together.
He does. He has kind of I think he definitely has a wider array of shots that he can employ here, which I think will. My exact prediction is that exact thing that you bring up, Ben, will help him survive the first round, Mershot. And I think if he gets out of round one, his odds of winning the fight accelerate astronomically. I'm not endorsing any kind of method of victory bet, but if you insist on betting a method of victory bet for Mershot, I would say make sure it lands somewhere in the second round or the third round or late or a decision or something along those lines. I don't think he's winning in the first round. I think he has to survive the first round, quite frankly.
Yep.
Okay, great. So the Karate Hottie's fighting. She's 37 now, and I mean I think it's pretty evident that her run at any sort of championship world title event is over. Can I make the point though that like was her run even really anything? Like no. I think she's fun to watch. I think she's got a cool, like, bubbly and fun personality. I think she's good for the sport in that sense. I think that she is a pretty fighter in the sense that like her moves are pretty, like her kicks are nice. She's fun to watch because her output is really, really high. And like all those Jackson Wink motherfuckers, like they really all come in with great cardio. They all have a great base of being able to operate on a really high cardio volume, a really high striking volume, a really high wrestling volume. She can do all that stuff and do it for 3 to 5 rounds. No problem. We've seen it. I just don't think she's ever really possessed any kind of special knockout power for her size. And she's also come up against people that are some of the better women's MMA fighters that we've ever seen. So you can sort of see the levels against a lot of the people that she's fought. I think I've seen her have heart. I've seen her dig deep, but I've always sort of seen her come up short. And that being said, I don't know if Pinheiro's even close to the level of the people that Michelle Waterson's fought. So it does give you pause a little bit when you see a little bit of a plus 150 bet for Michelle Waterson Gomez. It does give you pause to say, okay, she's 10-1 or whatever, but like it's 10 tomato cans that she squashed, and I don't really know like what she's bringing to the table here. That being said, it's a stay away from me for that reason. I think I can see both sides on how one person might win, and I just don't. I would not feel confident putting a ton of money on this. What I will say is, based on the power that both of these ladies have, and based on what their sort of track record is on how they win fights, a decision. It's going to the judges. So I might even bet the fight will go all 3 rounds. That's a good bet, I think, on this one. You probably wouldn't get very good odds on it, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a stay away from me. Matt, are you confident in any sort of bet here?
I'm confident in Pinheiro. I just think, unlike Mearshot, I think that this could be like the end.
You
of
have a
Waterson.
little bit of a habit of really liking to bet on fighters that are falling back down the mountain, though. So and it's because you possess more Schadenfreude than any human being I've ever met in my life. So I am somewhat wary of you looking at somebody's demise and wanting to profit on that, because you are pure evil. So it's like, are you saying this with any sort of real like technical sense of what's going to happen, or do you just like to watch people suffer? I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like there's 2 types of fights that we watch when you have a more seasoned older fighter coming up against a younger talent. You get the step up in talent against the gatekeeper, which I think that's more like a Mearshot versus Pyfer. And then you get these fights like Frankie Edgar's last fight, where it was just watch him go down and watch a kid take the step up. And I think that's what we're looking at here with Waterson. She's coming off a nasty injury too, isn't she? Didn't she break her forearm?
Yeah. I think she was diagnosed with pregnancy a couple of times, and I think that can probably really slow you down athletically. And yeah, again, I'm sorry, but she is. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but the biological fact of being 37 and having, I think, 2 children at this point it's going to make you probably not as good at fist fighting. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I know being a mom is hard, but being a fucking cage fighter is harder. So I just think maybe, I think stylistically there is if we're really looking for some sort of value in the underdog bet for Waterson, stylistically there is something to be said for how she can like stay at angles, stay at range, win a points fight, and it all becomes a little bit too much for Pinheiro. But the reason I would even see value in that is because I don't see Pinheiro like really giving me anything to make me like based on a resume to make me think, oh yeah, like she's definitely going to be able to do this, or she's definitely going to be able to do that. I just haven't seen enough. So, Ben, have you ever been a Karate Hottie fan, or is she not really been someone you? I mean, she's a pure striker, right? You have to like that. Like she's very. And I don't mean pure in the sense that that's the only thing she can do. I mean, like she's a black belt. She's a purist in striking, I should say, I guess is the better way to put it. But I feel like you like fighters like that.
Yeah, normally I'm a fan. Have never really been a huge fan of Michelle Waterson. She never really had the stuff to put it together. And to your point, she's getting older. She's falling down the mountain. Pinheiro is coming from a great camp. Nova Inyao put together some of the best champions the world's ever seen in BJ Penn and Jose Aldo. Great judo background. Can probably keep the fight where she wants it here, which I would imagine will probably be on the ground with that strong judo top pressure.
She needs to be able to get her down to win. That's I don't think Pinheiro is winning on the feet.
No, I'm with you there, but I think she has the tools to do it, and I think she's the up and comer here.
She was like very highly ranked as a judo artist, right? Like I think she was like very, very good at judo.
Yeah, and man, once you have felt what it's like to get to have one of those guys grab onto you, or women here, I apologize, supporting all, it's really different. They can take you off your feet before you even know what's happening. So I'm really excited to see this one.
Yeah, it's all, and it's as I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, a thing or two about martial arts, but it is also
probably not.
It's all trips and throws and. It's obviously you're not going to see her shooting for single legs as like a judo player, right? Like you're gonna see her or double legs. You're gonna see her trying for hip tosses, maybe trying to get her against the fence and trip her. Maybe pulling her down, throwing off her body weight. And I think that, I don't think Michelle Waterson's a bad grappler. I just don't think I've ever seen. You see her fuck up Paige Van Zandt, and you're like, you're not. Michelle did fuck up Paige Van Zandt, but you're not exactly like run into the fucking ballot box to vote for her as the best fighter of all time. If you fuck up Paige Van Zandt, she's a fucking OnlyFans star at this point. So I don't, Matt knows. So I don't know what's, all right, fine. I could see putting Pereira on a parlay, but it might fuck your parlay up. I'm not super confident in the fact that she could do it, but you've kind of talked me into it.
Side note, I think Larson's actually a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that means different things, right? Like there's quality of black belt, right? Like
where'd you get that black belt?
Yeah. Exactly. Who gave you your black belt? Because it's just not something I would really readily know her for. I have seen her submit people. I have. I just don't know if she's going to do. But that's another reason why I'm staying away from this one, I think.
The other thing I will say for this whole card is that all of the Brazilian fighters are super pumped to be fighting on Pereira's card. So watch out. They're all super pumped.
In Miami.
Yeah.
You could get some support in Miami there too. Could make it feel like a hometown crowd. That's something. That's really something. Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. I'm excited to talk about this one because both these guys annoy the fuck out of me. I find Chris Curtis incredibly obnoxious. Like I just like everything that I don't know why. Like not the stuff he says isn't like very offensive or like way off base. It's just like he just talks a lot and he talks a lot of shit. I really didn't like when I forget who it was that he came out to fight. Was it Hermanson? Yeah, it was Hermanson. He came out to fight Hermanson and just did nothing. Like Hermanson was just moving side to side and was like, gotta catch me. And Chris Curtis just couldn't. So I had money on him that night, and it really fucking annoyed me that he couldn't put it together. I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. That being said, I think Kelvin Gastelum's run of knocking out Michael Bisping, and by the way, I hold him responsible for the fact that he ended Michael Bisping's career, and I have to fucking listen to that guy speak a lot now. So thanks a lot, Kelvin. All the way up to fighting, one of the greatest stylistic matchups and therefore fights I've ever seen, which is him versus Israel Adesanya. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen, honestly. And it was obviously a styles make fight situation because I don't think Gastelum's on Adesanya's level as a striker, but because he has that sort of squat, fear the takedown, it's in there, sort of gotta sucker you into fight in the pocket type of style. I think it made for a great fight. If you haven't seen that one, and if you're new to the landscape of listening to the UFC, go back and watch it. It was fucking unbelievable. That being said, I don't think he's that good. I don't have a ton of faith in either of these guys. But my gut is telling me Chris Curtis. I like the idea of Gastelum not being smart enough to realize that there's a tape of exactly how to beat Chris Curtis, and there's definitely nothing he's done to improve it, and not taking advantage of that. So, and I don't think he's going to wrestle either. So, and I'm not even sure it would help him if he did. So, and the Action Man is also a stupid nickname, but I think they'll stay in the pocket. I think that'll favor Curtis, and Curtis will win. What do you think, Matt?
You know what? It's such a pick 'em for me. I'm really just hoping for a lot of blood in this fight. I'm gonna ride with you for the sole reason that if Curtis loses, I'll blame you for it. So I'm right in your pocket on this one. Let's go, Curtis. I hate him. He's so annoying.
Fair enough. Ben, what do you think of these two?
I'm actually a fan of Gastelum. I like watching him fight purely for that Adesanya fight. Man, dude, he is tough. He gets in there, and he is such a fan of the semi uppercut, kind of the half jab, half uppercut corkscrew punch. And I love seeing that get employed when you see fighters. Chris Curtis, I think he may have the tools to get it done here because Kevin is now starting to get on the older side. He's been in the UFC for a while. Quite the fall from grace from fighting for titles and now to where he is. That being said, I'd love to see him win. I'd love to see him employ that toughness and that good boxing to put him away here. But I think that's going to be harder than I'm giving it credit for. Chris Curtis is a tough gamer, so.
Yeah, I think that the conclusion we all seem to be coming to is that it is a pretty even fight on paper coming in, and I think that because of their styles, and mostly because of Kevin Gastelum's style, this could be a really fun fight. It could be like a lot of fun to watch. So I might stay away from this one betting just because I think I might get a lot of entertainment value out of it. But I also have a few stayaways already on this card, so I'll probably end up betting on it because it's fucking boring if I don't. But speaking of betting, Kevin Holland will never see another dollar of mine in his favor ever again after that fucking performance against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I
What is
understand.
with this line?
It's pretty crazy. I think there's a ton of Ponzinibbio value here.
Yeah.
I think it's wildly consistent. It's wildly inconsistent, much like many MMA betting lines. But also, Holland's always getting the nod. He's always getting the nod, and he's going in there and getting fucked up. People were saying, "Oh, well, he had three." But his coach said he had three broken bones, and they were displaced in his right hand from the first round against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, which you could tell that he was obviously fighting with an injured hand. However, that was on December 3rd, right? So if he had that serious of hand surgery on December 3rd, like 4 months ago, I mean, maybe it could be good enough to say, like, all right, I'm throwing it in practice, but like that thing might break again. Like it just might. I'm not a fucking doctor. I mean, I am of body language, but not of hand surgery. So I'm not. If he really did break his hand, I don't know why he would lie about it. It did look fucked up in the fight. I remember very clearly. And I mean, Wonderboy laid that whooping on him too. Like he really, by the end, was like, I'm getting this fucking guy out of there. And he was just really beating that ass. So to me, I think I've seen Holland's level. I think I really wanted him to be a lot better because of his athleticism and some really cool, like, he knocked a guy out from his back, which was really cool to watch. I think that it gets a little bit in his head when the lights are a little brighter. I think he was really good at the Apex during COVID. And I think the brighter lights in the crowd, I think it does fuck with him a little bit, as much as he seems like the kind of guy that should be good under the lights. He like kind of isn't. He was a lot of fun in the Apex when he was mouthing off and you could hear everything he was saying because there was nobody in there.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. He got such a bad ass whooping by Chimaev, and that's his division, right around abouts. What's he going to do? Where's he going to go from here? But as far as this individual fight goes, I like Santiago Ponzinibbio. I've always kind of liked him. I don't think he's as durable as he used to be. I don't think he's probably as quick as he used to be. Holland probably is the better fighter on paper, and he probably is. There probably is a reason he's the favorite here, but I just think there's value because I think Kevin Holland can fuck up a day for himself. I think he can do that. So again, it's value based. It's not, I don't think he's going to win. Kevin Holland should win, but I don't know if he should minus 250 win. Do you know what I mean? I would definitely stay away from that bet. What do you think, man?
I think Ponzinibbio is going to win. I think Ponzinibbio is a dog. He's older. I get it. And, there's a huge reach advantage, but Ponzinibbio is going to be able to get inside if Holland's cardio isn't where it should be, if he's not moving properly, which are things he's screwed up in the past. And what does your 4-month camp look like if you have 3 displaced fractures in your hand? You weren't throwing that. Who are you, Arturo Gatti? I just don't see it. Not to mention the fact a couple hours ago, he got into an altercation or a scuffle with Masvidal outside of an elevator. So normally people end up with concussions after that. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, because, he probably, none of you saw him coming. Maybe. I do think that Ponzinibbio fought Jeff Neal, very similar kind of rangy kickboxer, bringing that to the table. Struggled mightily for the first couple of rounds, and I think Kevin Holland doesn't hit a lot harder. So I'd be a little nervous to bet on Ponzinibbio as confidently as you are. I do think the line is a little stretched. I do agree with you on that. I think there's value in the odds themselves, if not necessarily the fight. But if he comes in with a good game plan, if he kicks the fuck out of his leg, or he tries to wear out his base early and wear out his cardio, which we've seen is a real thing. But that's in 4th and 5th rounds. I think Kevin Holland's probably still fine by the 3rd. In a situation like this, it's not a main event. I do think he's gotten better from fight to fight, Holland. He could fuck your day up. I can't ever really bet on him. I am a fan of him personality wise, but Ben, do you think if Kevin Holland loses this, is he done? I mean, he can't keep losing fights, right? I mean, no matter how exciting you are, you can't keep losing fights.
Yeah, I think he's got some brownie points for taking that fight, that late notice fight against Chimaev.
Yeah.
Saying, oh my God, fuck, on national television. That's a hard one to live down. But I think coming out of retirement for that fight against Stephen Thompson was kind of like hey, here you go, man. Let's put you in there against somebody who you can put on a show with, and you got absolutely spanked. So I think that's going to play into this a little bit because I think Holland has all the tools to win. Incredibly long reach, very powerful striker, can can develop power from anywhere. But we've seen him off his back, on his feet. I think he, to your point, I think he has on paper what it's going to take to win here. But I don't know if he thinks he has it anymore. I think somebody who's looking for a way out, saying, "Oh, I'm retired, whatever. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'll never be a champion," against somebody like Chimaev. To his credit, that's correct. And sometimes you have to know when to hang him up. But I think that's something to watch out for. Does he think that he can perform? We haven't seen him perform well under in the big show, and Ponzibio, however you say his last name, has been around for a while. Tough guy, is a gamer, and I think he has some tools to win here, just not enough to beat Holland on paper.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think Holland should be able to come in and win this fight. He should be able to, but like, what Holland's going to show up, Yeah. So I don't know. It's another one I'd be kind of reticent to bet on anyone. But if I was betting on somebody, I'd probably bet on Kevin Holland's lack of self-belief. And it's a big drop from the confidence we saw him have when he came into the promotion in the first place. I think that he really did believe in himself at the start. I think he talked a lot of shit. It was cool. But yeah, I don't know. There's something behind the eyes now. Raul Rosas Jr. versus C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez. Another heavy line disparity. I do think Raul Rosas Jr. is going to fuck this kid up, though. He's really good. He's really, really good. I know he's only 18. I know that there's like a lot of hype, which you have to try to look past. You have to, when it comes to guys that young. But he's fought guys with grown man strength. He hasn't lost a fight. He's extremely confident in himself. He's talented all over the mat. He's talented standing up. He's huge for bantamweight. He's enormous for 135. If he's gonna win something at 135, he better do it soon, because he's not gonna be able to make 135 as easily when he's not 18, right? That's just a fact. But I think there's just a value in betting on him every time you see him fight, especially. I mean, I think Christian Rodriguez is not a tin can by any stretch. I think he's actually got a fair amount of hype behind him too. And I think that he's 8-1. He shouldn't take a huge hit. He's beaten guys you've heard of. He beat Joshua Weems, who is a fully fledged UFC fighter. He beat Junior Cortez in the conditions to get in the first place. He's got a ton of composure. He doesn't get rattled easily. I think he can make a fight out of this, but that kid Rosas is a fucking, he's athletic. He's scary. He really could dominate this division, and probably featherweight too. Although I think there's a huge advantage to his size. You'll see when they get in there. There's a huge advantage to the size he has at 135. So what do you think, Matt? There's no plus 200 value here for C-Rod, is there? Or
No, I don't think so. I think, Rosas is a Dana darling. Like, Dana White loves him.
He's not letting him. Yeah, I was thinking that.
Not letting him lose his first main card. It's just not going to happen. Actually, I have just a little Nostradamus preview. What I think is going to happen here is Rosas going to dominate C-Rod, who's, I agree with you, he's a good fighter. And then I think he's going to take Yanez after Yanez folds Font. And both these fighters on the same card, you're going to see them start to match up.
Oh, that's super interesting. I want to get to that kind of quickly then, because I really disagree with you about Rob Font. But cool. No, that's great. I love that little sauce on the action here. Ben, you were a 19-year-old prospect. I remember very clearly everybody being shocked at how good you were for 19. What is it that this kid, what are the pitfalls this Raul Rosas Jr. kid is going to have to try and avoid as he makes his way up at already such a high level, and fighting guys that are already so talented with kind of this pressure on his back? He seems like he's able to handle it, but what happens when you wake up one day and your frontal cortex is developed and you go, holy shit, this is kind of intense?
Yeah, I think the same thing that is pushing Raul along is also probably his downfall. He's incredibly confident, for good reason. He's a very talented guy, great jiu-jitsu, enormous for the weight class. Coming up, still largely untested. I wouldn't say, and I would kind of say the same thing about his opponent here. Rodriguez, they have very similar records. I think this is a closer fight than you'd give it credit for because of all the hype behind Rosas. But I think Russ is going to still pull this out. To your point, they probably won't let him lose on this first big one. He's got the household name power already because of all this promotion behind him. I mean, to your point, I've been there before. I know what it feels like. You feel like you are untouchable. You're killing everybody in the gym. You're walking through your opponents. But there will come a time when you get put in there against somebody who's just different. I don't think it is Rodriguez. I think we should expect to see Rosas win here. But that time is coming when we're going to see him tested. Think about Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. You see them walk through people, but then you put him in there. What's he really made of? When it gets tough, does he hide, or is he gonna fight through it and beat it? So this is an exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and I do think that he's done some things that have given everybody pause and said, like, okay, maybe this guy is the real deal. But I do think it's another test for both these guys. And maybe if C-Rod does even a little bit better than we think, it's a very different kettle of fish. But apparently there's some conflict here, Matt. You apparently think Rob Font is just step overable. I just have to say, I mean, I'm not a huge believer in MMA math, but can we just compare these guys' fucking resumes? The guys that Rob Font has lost to are guys named fucking Jose Aldo. Fucking this other dude's coming off beating a guy named Tony Kelly, who I've really never heard of. He beat Davey Grant, who I've heard of, and I know he sucks. Gustavo Lopez. He's fighting guys that if their ranking was actually published, because they're not, but it would be like 135, like the 150th best bantamweight, and Rob Font is like the 9th or the 7th, I think. So this is a huge step up in competition for this guy. I'm surprised you're this confident that he's going to fold Rob Font when nobody fucking folds Rob Font. So what's the deal?
So it's really simple. I was all on Rob Font all the way up until 4:00 today when I heard Israel Adesanya waxing eloquent about Yanez during his press conference, how he was the most excited to watch him fight, how he says he's the future of the division. He's so gifted at striking and he's gifted on the ground, which nobody's gotten to see yet. And Adesanya got me so excited that I'm betting every dollar I've ever seen on Yanez. Every dollar I've ever seen.
Okay. I mean, maybe I don't know a ton about this guy or something, but that I just feel like I don't think he's proved it.
But tell me this, Dave, the dumb gambler part of your brain hears that he's Stylebender's favorite fighter, and you go, ooh, hold on.
Well, not really, because I mean, maybe it depends on what we're going to talk about when we get to the Stylebender Alex Pereira main event, because I just don't love how Izzy's coming across about anything right now. I think he's rushing a lot of his thoughts. I think he's like, oh, fuck. I think he's doing a lot of that. I probably fucking would be too. I think Rob Font, I mean, first of all, he's from Leominster. So can we just give it like a little bit of a fucking hometown bias in that direction? Oh shit, he's from Massachusetts. He is going to lose, isn't he?
He's going to lose.
God damn.
He is cooked.
It's over.
Ben, oh no. Do you like Rob Font?
Okay. Hey, I'm going to take this time to get into this a little bit. I like Rob Font a lot. He's a talented guy from Massachusetts. Trains out of the infamous Sit-Yotong gym in Boston, who my gym, Y Crew, was a pretty direct competitor for a lot of years. And let me just take pause to say, every fucking fight I had signed up against Sit-Yotong, their fighters pulled out. So, hey, it is what it is. I'm not defined. They put together some tough folks though, and have done so in the past. They did great work with Kenny Florian way back in the day. That being said, Yanez is the people think he's going to win here, which I think is strange. To your point, Dave, Rob Font has fought some of the best in the world at this weight class, and he's tough as hell. They can't put him away. He keeps coming. He's got great striking. Is that going to be enough? Is the veteran going to be able to beat up this kid who's coming up, walking through everybody, doing so well? I'm excited to see. I'm pulling for Rob Font, but to your point, he's from Massachusetts, and all of us from Massachusetts love to make it to the big show and then get our shit pushed in. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've been there. It happened to me.
Something in the water.
Let me just say this. to that fight, Jim, me and Ben probably showed up to 5 or 6 different warehouse basements with, cardboard on the ground for him to fight and for nobody to show up to fight him. And it happened consistently. So I have beef. We all have beef.
So I think what you're thinking about right now, you guys were actually there. That's where the name Streak was born. That was actually what was the name of that gym? Shit, it's so funny, that gym, because they're starting to open it back up in Cambridge, and I was walking past that for like 2 years, just watching the same guy sit on a medicine ball in there on concrete floors with no work being done. Well, Kinmoy fought out of that gym, and I was supposed to fight Kinmoy that day when you guys came, you remember? And then they didn't let it happen. That wasn't Sityodtong. That being said, I had a Thai boxing match up against one of their instructors at Sityodtong, and he pulled out. Then we set up a K1 match, which is just kickboxing, no elbows. He pulled out again. And then I had 2 MMA fights set up. I can't remember what the kid's name was. Some white kid hit, and he bonked his head the week of the fight, and they said they weren't going to fight. So that's a little fight history for you. I hope you heard it and you know where I'm at.
No, I remember it. I remember it all very clearly. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted that smoke. I guess I see what you guys are saying. It's difficult now for me to bet on Rob Font because of the Massachusetts section. Every time I fucking ride with one of our boys, it doesn't go well, but we'll see. Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal. I was starting to get influenced by the things that Jorge Masvidal was saying. I was starting to get influenced by how tight his cornrows looked. He looks in shape. His outfits are nice. He's saying some shit. You have to remember that Gilbert Burns is so much better at fighting than Jorge Masvidal. It's going out of style. It's not even close. And there's no fucking way Jorge Masvidal fucking beats Gilbert Burns, right? Come on. I started to be like, well, maybe if there could be, but no, I'm not doing it. I'm not being a dumb dummy. I'm going to do something smart, and I'm going to remember that Gilbert Burns, stop looking at me like that. No, don't fucking talk me to Jorge Masvidal. No. Go ahead.
But maybe. Listen, I'm with you. It's not even comparable. I think Gilbert Burns is one of the best fighters in the UFC right now. I thought he beat Chimaev. I just think the kid's unstoppable.
I did too. But
I
thought he won that fight.
When I heard Jorge Masvidal call him a crotch sniffer, well, sir, you have my money. I think there's value in the listen. You're not going to put you're not going to put your life savings on Jorge Masvidal, right? But he's done crazy things. He did one crazy thing. And it was crazy. Crazy.
People said that knocking out Darren Till was crazy, but then everybody pissed on that wall. So
turns out that doesn't
count.
I might throw a little fun money on Jorge here while I have Gilbert Burns like Loctite in a parlay just for fun. But man, as much as I know he's not a good fighter, we've watched him lose time and time again against top talent. I love listening to him talk. It's his town.
Do you?
I do. I just can't help it. I can't help it.
Matt loves listening to Jorge Masvidal talk. Do you think it was that very uncomfortable and stiff video after Trump got indicted where he was like, the people want to hear what Jorge Masvidal has to say about American politics? Let me get on the mic real quick. And they took a video of him being like, obviously, this is the radical leftist agenda coming for our president. It's like, bitch, I thought you were an immigrant. Who fucking side are you on? Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter.
He's a felon. He can't even vote.
That's right, because he did attack Kobe Covington. Jesus, I don't even care about that beef at this point because they're both such just despicably awful people. It's a who do I hate more situation. He's been talking a ton of shit about like who gets the title shot. No way, it's Kobe. It's like seems like it's Kobe, buddy. And I don't really think it should be you. To be totally honest with you, I don't think you beat Gilbert Burns. We should give you a fucking title shot, but I don't think Dana White's worried about that happening. Ben, known genius Jorge Masvidal, giant brain Jorge Masvidal is fighting Gilbert Burns. Who you got?
Oh man, Jorge Masvidal is about to get run the fuck. Jesus, so to his credit, 5, maybe 7 years ago, I think this fight happened, I would take pause. That guy had some fantastic anti-wrestling to keep the fight where he wanted it and striking. That being said, Gilbert Burns can fucking bang.
Yeah,
My God, that guy
he's tough as fucking nails, dude.
and he's not afraid. And not only is he not afraid to fucking bang with just about anybody, he is a world champion. And this is there are levels to jiu-jitsu. This guy is a world champion Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. You should see him rolling with Cyborg. Cyborg came to a school of mine that I was training at back in Worcester. Man, the guy is enormous, huge, big, strong, fantastic. All he does is jujitsu. And watching Burns and him roll, you're like, oh damn, Burns is beating the shit out of this guy. And this is all he has. Gilbert Burns is a fucking gamer, man. Yeah. I would want to fight Gilbert Burns. You can't put that guy down. He keeps coming forward, so strong, awesome wrestling, awesome sprawls. Takes you down. When he's on the ground, the guy can tie you up in knots, and when he's on the feet, he can beat the absolute hell out of you. I think this is all she wrote for Jorge Masvidal. And to be quite honest with you, I'm fine with that. I've heard enough of Jorge to last me a lifetime.
Yeah, me too. And I also think like again, MMA math, it's subject to asterisk, but if you just look at like a guy as athletic and good as Kevin Holland getting fucking worked by Khamzat Chimaev, and then to have Gilbert Burns go in there and kind of fuck him up for a few periods here and there, it's like that's the level we're at. I don't see Jorge Masvidal doing shit, to be honest with you. He got knocked out by Kamaru Usman.
I know.
That's like getting fucking beaten in poker by Tiger Woods. It doesn't make any sense. It's like You got knocked out by Kamaru Usman, man. He doesn't knock anybody out. He just fucking holds you against the fence all the time. It's crazy. It's bad. You're supposed to be like a striker, and that's what happened. Plus that chin. And then he was alluding a little bit now to like, oh, if I lose this, I probably have to be done. And it's like, yeah, you do. What are you going to do? You're never going to get fucking UFC gold if you lose this fight. If you do win, though, it is such a crazy juxtaposition. He probably fights for the title if he beats Gilbert.
I think you're right.
And like Dana's probably like, fuck yeah. If he beats Gilbert, like the Leon and him narrative is built in. The beef is.
We all want that.
That's great. We can put asses in seats with that. I have no doubt in my mind that Dana White would be perfectly happy to set that up, but he loses to Gilbert. You can't. That's fucking crazy. So it's two extremes. I'll end with the idea that, yeah, fuck it. I mean, everyone's got a puncher's chance, and he's got a punch. He has fucking put guys on skates before, and at plus 325, like if you're up by the time the co-main happens, you might want to throw a few bucks on. It could be fun. Izzy is fighting Pereira, and again, it's a similar situation. Where do you go if you're Israel Adesanya and you lose this fight? Like he can kill everybody else in the middleweight division. Middleweight division's not great right now, but he can literally fight anybody else in middleweight and beat the shit out of them. But if he can't get the strap back, what does he do? What's his identity? First of all, my first question, Matt, would be, can he? And my second question would be, is he gonna? Because they are kind of two different questions, right?
Can he? I mean, absolutely, he could. Let's focus on the last fight. He clearly won the first round. Second round got a little bit closer, and then slowly his legs gave out. And by the time it came for Pereira to put him in a corner and just hit him, it was too late. First of all, I'm just going to say this. I don't think there was a great stoppage to that fight. I think it's a fair stoppage, but I really don't think when you're talking about a belt, it was the best stoppage I've ever seen.
I think there's a point to be made that he could have been murked. Like there was a punch coming in that really might have like done some damage to his longevity. And I think that like if you're the referee and you're standing there watching those punches come in, it's probably a lot fucking scarier than, if we're watching it on TV at home. That being said, I do agree with you on a championship level. You got to let somebody go out in their shield. And I think he was remarkably alert after the second after the stoppage. So I do agree with you on some level. Yeah.
The thing I'm a little concerned about is me and you have a different read on him. When I was watching him today, I kind of got more confident. He seems like he's in the zone right now. He's not, and we're used to watching him goof around and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever the hell he's talking about all the time. But he seems so locked in because he knows if he loses this fight, he has to middle around this division until Pereira decides he's going up to 205. and that could
or
be a
until
long
somebody
time.
with or until somebody comes in and wrestle fucks him, which is very, very like on the cards, right?
It's
Like
probably gonna
if
happen
I was
the next
Adesanya, I'd be working on my fucking takedowns, to be honest.
Well, I
Um,
think Adesanya is going to take him down quick. I really do. I don't think he's going to give us the fight that we want, which is that striking match again. I think Adesanya is.
What if
gonna
he
win
mauls
this
him though on the ground? Like if he takes him down and fucking mauls him, you can very much be like, it's an MMA fight, guys. Like,
right.
what do you want me
It's
to do?
not kickboxing.
Yeah.
So
Okay, but that's admitting that he was the better kickboxer, though, right? Like you're just fully admitting that.
You have to fully admit it at this point. How could you
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
And in history we've seen fighters have a kryptonite, have somebody that just matches up too perfectly against them, even if they are better than the field. And maybe that is just Pereira. Maybe he just hits too hard for Adesanya.
Yeah.
I am going to bet on Adesanya, even though I see this fight ending the same way it did before. I'm just going to ride with it. And that kills me because, as the fans don't know this, Dave's wife is a huge Adesanya fan, and I love torturing her about him.
Could be a dark night in my house if he loses.
Could be dark, but I'm riding with Adesanya. I love the Creed 2 narrative here. Give me Adesanya.
The problem you have though is that he could be winning 3-4 rounds, and you think you're riding pretty, and in the back of your head that his lights could get turned off at any time. Ben, if you're fighting a guy with such a dangerous left hand like that, one that is going to put your lights out, are you just spending the whole camp just being like, it's not so much prepare for the left hand, it's prepare to not be scared of the left hand, because if you're thinking about it the whole fucking time, you're not gonna fight the right fight, right? Or is it just do you have to be thinking about it? Do you have to be aware because it could put you out?
Man, I think you have to be thinking about this the entire time, and you have to have that right hand glued to your head.
Yeah.
You've got to be practicing holding the tennis ball up while you're using your lead hand, your lead kick. I think there's even some he could switch stances and fight southpaw here and try to negate that left hook. But man, we said this last time. He has to be perfect the entire time.
Yeah,
and
that's a problem.
And I think that's a tough task.
Yeah.
I think the smart move here is take him down. But can you take him down? Because Jesus, have you seen that guy? He's an Amazonian fucking warrior.
Yeah, because Izzy's not a small guy, and he makes Izzy look small.
Yeah, no, he's enormous, and I think this is probably one of those cases where we talked about it last time. When someone has your number, they've got your number, and are you able to come back and beat that? I think Adesanya is the better fighter here. But is he going to be able to avoid that left hook for 5 rounds for as long as he needs to be able to win here? I think that's a difficult task. I think Adesanya is also prone to getting inside his own head and getting beat, and I think he did that last time versus Pereira. And I think Pereira came in, showed him that he does have his number. You can't run away from it. And I think he's going to be afraid of that the entire time here. I'd love to see him switch stance and start to attack the body with a powerful left kick and negate the left hook with reaching out with his right hand the entire time. That being said, he should only use that for a very, very short amount of time. And he should get in, take him down, and beat him up on the ground where he will have.
I don't think he's going to do that though.
No,
he's going to do that. I agree with you that it is the smart move, but I just don't know. I think you have to have a certain level of pride, right? And a certain level of ego to get to this position. And I just think like, hey, don't switch up the game plan now, just at least go out the way you came in. And I think that like to that point, if he comes in and because what he was saying essentially is like, what if I butcher him? Like, what if I come in and I come in actually less scared of the fucking hand than I was last time, and I fuck him up, and I had a chance to put him away before and I didn't. What if I put him away this time? To be honest, I think there's some people that would say like, oh, well, he lost these other 3 fights. But I think if you really look at the context, it means that if he does that, it means that he came in fearlessly. He came in completely fucking unafraid of what Pereira was going to do. And he chopped him up. And I think that will cement him maybe as the best middleweight we've ever seen, to be honest with you. I like because that's some Muhammad Ali shit, to be honest with you. Like to come in and be like, fuck it, and just really put this dude away and say like, whatever, I'm throwing, you're throwing, let's see. If he does do that, I think that he will be a really great resident of Alistair Overeem's bar that he set up in the Shadow Realm, because that Pereira left hand is a fucking demon summoner, and I wouldn't take a fucking hit from that left hook for all the tea in China. There's a large group of heavyweights in the UFC that I would rather get hit by than Pereira's left hook. It is real scary. It's got the touch of death, and I hope our boy doesn't get touched by it, because it's a hell of a lot more interesting of a champion than Pereira. Just personality wise. I know there's a language barrier, so I'm not giving him that much shit, but he just is. And I really just do hope he wins, because like I said, it could be a dark night. If he wins, Pereira should get a rubber match, right? Because you can't be focusing on the kickboxing stuff. And even if you are, he still sort of deserves a rubber match. So if he wins, there should be a third, right?
Yeah, it's 1-1.
All right. Well, that also makes for a more interesting thing. So all real, neutral observers of the sport should probably be cheering for Adesanya. But I think we had a fun time talking about the card, and I'm going to have an even more fun time watching it. I can't wait for Saturday. I am absolutely over the moon that we did this again, because I think there's a lot of high level competition on the card, and I'm sorry if we were dismissive of the very early prelims. It's just hard, when you realize that you're about to get to a conversation about two of the best kickboxers who have ever lived are about to fight on Saturday again. So it's fucking awesome. That being said, I just want to say thanks to Ben Huggy Bear. You've earned that name since you were the streak at the start, but you really brought it. So I'm going to give you Huggy Bear for the end. And my good friend Matt Wilcox. I am DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check my oil. See you on Saturday.
I'm DC. I host the rock podcast, Back to the Arena, The Interviews. It's about a 30-minute podcast where I talk one-on-one with a band who has released new music. You can find us on all the best podcast sites like Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and more. If you're a rock fan like me, subscribe today to Back to the Arena, The Interviews.
Electricast.
Hey, what's happening out there, everybody? This is Lawrence Ross, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show.
Egomaniac.
It's a 2-hour weekly exploration into my mind. I also do sketches, celebrity impersonations.
You're out of order!
And I also do song parodies. Not too shabby for a blind guy.
Not only are you visually impaired, but you are geographically impaired.
New episodes are released every Friday. Check it out on your favorite podcasting platform, or listen to it here on Society 13 on Electricast.
Electricast.